Hi, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to create this certificate from scratch using just Word graphics with one graphic from the internet, which is very easy to find. So let's get started. So I've just opened a normal default document, and the first thing I want to do is turn around the page to landscape. So I'm going to go to layout and across to orientation, click on the drop down and choose landscape. And I'm just going to go down to the bottom here and just zoom in, so we've got a full page. So I want to put the little graphic image in the top left corner here, and to make this really simple you can just download this from the internet. So if we go to the internet and we go to this website here called pixabay.com, go to the search bar here and I'm going to search certificate ribbon awards and then press enter. And you can scroll through here and you can pick any of these designs. I'm going to select this one here, and you can select any of these when we put it into Word because you can just crop it, and I'll show you how to do that now. So select it, go to download, select the download you want and click download. Now I'm already a member, it may ask you for your email, but just pop your email in and then you can download these images for free. So let's go back to Word, go to insert, pictures, click on the drop down and select picture from file. I'm going to go to my downloads and you can see I've got that download at the top here, and then just click insert. So once you've inserted an image into Word, you can't move it or crop it. So make sure it's selected, go to picture format, go to wrap text, click on the drop down and we're going to select in front of text. Now you can move this anywhere, and I want to select this ribbon here. So I'm going to crop everything else out. So select it, go to picture format, go to crop, click on the drop down and select crop. Now you can see these little black markers around the outside. Just click and pull down the relevant sides so that you can crop everything out. You see everything's gone grey that you've cropped out. And then if you can, just move the line so it almost touches the sides of this ribbon. So we crop almost everything out. And then once you're done, just press the return key. And now we've got that selected and we can pop that up in the corner there. The next thing we want to do is put in our graphics, because then we can pick from these colours. So go to insert, go to shapes, click on the drop down and then select this triangle here, and then just click and drag out a triangle. Don't worry too much about the shape or the size of it because we can adjust everything as we go along. So when you select a shape, there's a small border line that runs around the outside and then the fill colour. We're going to get rid of that outline border and change the colour of the fill colour. So make sure it's selected, go to shape format, go all the way over here to format pane and click. And then you've got a separate menu here, and there's so much you can do with these menus. So go to the bucket icon, click on the drop down of fill and click on the drop down of line. So line is the border line which we don't want, so I'm going to select no line. And then on here we can select gradient fill or solid fill. So we're going to select solid fill the time being, and then we're going to duplicate it. So solid fill, then you can go down to colour. Let me just move the sides in here. You can go down to colour and then you can select from any of these colours, or you can go to more colours and you can select a colour from the colour wheel. Just click and drag that around the colour wheel. The colour you've selected will appear here, or you can use this eyedropper tool here, click, and then any colour you move over you can select and just click and that colour will appear here, and then click OK. If you don't have the eyedropper tool, you can move the colour wheel over to the colour that you want, and then you can continuously move the eyedropper around. So that red was up here, and then you can use this darken and lighten slider here to try and match your colour, and then just click OK. So I'm just going to go back to my colours, and I selected the correct colour earlier. And what we need to do to create our certificate graphics is to duplicate this twice. So the first way you can duplicate it, and the quickest, is by selecting it, hold down your Alt or Option key and click and drag. So that's the first way. The second way is to click, go to the Home tab, click on Copy, deselect it and press Paste. So those are three triangles there. So this one we're just going to move to here, and we're just going to place it here for the time being, but we're going to come back and sort them all out at the end because we need to put the writing in first as well. So this one we can't fit in this corner, and so we need to rotate it and then pop it up here. We need a second batch of triangles to then put the gold lining on them as well. So again, I'm going to select it, click the Alt or Option key, click and drag, and then deselect them both, reselect this one, and then we're going to go over to Gradient Fill. Don't forget that's in the bucket icon here. Go to Gradient Fill, and we've got this slider here with these little markers on. When you select each of these markers, it's surrounded by an orange outline. Then you can go to Color, and you can change the colour. So I'm going to select this colour here. Then I'm going to go to the middle one. If you don't have a middle one, you can add one by clicking on this add icon here, or take one out by clicking on this minus icon. So I'm going to select the middle one. I'm going to choose another colour. These are my recently added colours. So I'm going to choose this one. In fact, let's choose the lightest one. And then on this one here, I'm going to choose a slightly darker colour. And there we have that gradient. Now all of these colours I selected from here, so they tie in exactly with this graphic here, and that's why I selected the graphic first. We can match then our shape color to that graphic rather than selecting all your colors, going ahead and choosing this and it doesn't quite match. So I'm going to copy and paste this now 3 times or twice to make 3 triangles. I'm going to put this one up here, this one down here. I'm going to rotate it, and this one down here, and again rotate that one. Okay, now this one I want to go behind that red one, so select it, go to Shape Format, go to Send Backwards, click on the drop down and select Send to Back, and that one will be go behind. And now we can rotate these to make them look exactly how we want and make them bigger or smaller. Now again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back at the end and do all of this alignment because we're going to put lots of words and text in. So just send this one backwards, send this one backwards, and then we can come in and do all the adjustments at the end. So I'm just going to move them to there, a bit further back to allow for the text. Right, so we've got all the graphics in, and now we're going to put some text in. So go to Insert, Text Box, click on the drop down and select Draw Text Box. Click and drag out a text box. So put in your first lot of text, and for this one it will be certificate. Now I'm going to do a trick here which is going to really make your life quicker and easier. So deselect it. You can see we've got this black outline around the outside and it's actually got a white background. So we're going to get rid of both of those. So select it, go to Shape Format, go to this icon here, click on the drop down and select No Outline. Go to Shape Fill, click on the drop down and select No Fill. Now you can see we have no outline and a transparent background. Now we've got that, I'm actually going to duplicate this a number of times. Before I do, I'm just going to select it, go to the Home tab, go to this center text icon here and make sure it's all in the center. Now I'm going to duplicate it by holding down my Alt or Option key, clicking and dragging, and then I'm actually going to make 7 of these. So deselect, reselect just that one, and then copy and paste. Perfect. So this first one, I'm going to select the text, go to the Home tab, click on Fonts. I'm going to choose this font here, and my font size is going to be 48 and press Enter. I'm just going to move this text box down, and then if it does that, let's just make that bigger. Perfect. Now what you can also do is double click inside, so you've selected your text, right click, go down to Font, and if you go to Advanced, we've got the option of spreading out our characters. So for me they're quite close together, but if you go to Spacing, click on the drop down and click Expand, and I'm going to put in here 5 points and press Enter. You can see that my characters are now a little bit further apart, and that's just an added font customization that you can do with any of your fonts. You can just spread out those characters a little bit more, give you a few more options. Now for this one, again I'm going to go to Home, click on the drop down, I'm going to select Helivector, and this one is font size 22 and press Enter. I'm going to change the text to, there we go, and move that up. Now for this particular text, we did get rid of the background, but I'm just going to spread this out a little bit. What we can do is I want to put a line either side of this. But if I do that, I've got to make 2 lines and then align them all. So I'm going to show you a little trick. Go to Insert, go to Shapes, click on the drop down and select a line. Click here, hold down your Shift key and then move to the right. It means that I can't move it up or down. It will create a perfectly horizontal line. Now again, don't worry about aligning them all up because we'll do that at the end. So select the line, make sure you're still on this menu over here. It's the format pane icon. If you go down to the line, go down to width, and you can change the color as well. Let's just quickly change that to black. And I'm going to use the up arrow for the width. And as I click, you can see my line is getting thicker. So you can create any thickness of line you like. Now, as you can see, it goes straight through the middle of this achievement text. So I'm going to make the background of this white. So select it, go to Shape Format, go to Shape Fill, click on the drop down and select white. Now you can see nothing has happened, and that's because we need to bring this text forward of the line because it acts a little bit like layers. So select it, go to Shape Format, go to Bring Forwards, click on the drop down and select Bring to Front. And as you can see, it's brought it to the front, deselect. And you see now I've got 2 lines either side. I know they're not equal lines, and that's because they're not all centered. And again, we'll come and do all that at the end and they'll all be perfectly centered. The next text we need is Proudly Presented To. And again, we're going to go to the Home tab, change the font to this one. It's good not to have too many fonts in your project, otherwise it can look quite untidy. Here I'm using 3 different fonts, but I'm only really using that 3rd font for the name of the person who's receiving the certificate. Now for this, again, I'm going to change the spacing between the letters. I'm going to change my spacing by 5, click OK. Perfect. I'm just going to bring that bottom line up as much as I can. So then to the next one, this is actually the name. So I'm going to change this text to name and surname. And this text is going to be changed. Go to the Home tab. Click on your fonts. I'm going to go to Dover Heights and the font size is going to be 60 and press enter. Okay, just pull that down. Perfect. Now we're going to have another line. So go to Insert, Shapes, click on the drop down and select line. Again, click and drag, holding down that Shift key to make sure it's perfectly horizontal. Again, I can go up here quickly and change it to black. And then we can go up and we can go over to this menu and then just use that up arrow to change it to the width that we want. Next, let's use this paragraph to put in some random text. Now in this one, this is where you can put some text to tell the individual why they've received their award. So I'm just going to use a little bit of random text here. Perfect, let's just move that down. And this one is going to be the date. And this one will be signature. Perfect. Again, don't worry too much about alignment. We're going to sort all that out in a second. Reduce the size of this box. There we go. And we just want 2 more lines. So Insert, Shapes, Line. Click, drag, holding down the Shift key. Again, over here, you can change the color to black. Increase the line size. I'm going to actually take that down to 0.75. Then I'm going to go to Home while it's selected. Make sure it's selected. You can see it's selected with these green balls each side. Click Copy, deselect it, and then click Paste. Now the line could be anywhere, so you need to figure out where it's going to end up in your page. It could be at the top right here, and then just drag it down over here. So now to alignment. So we're going to align all of this up, and then we're going to put our logo here, and then align all of the text around the outside. And we'll pop some text in here as well. So firstly, I just want to line this up with this line. So select the line. Now this can be really tricky because Word doesn't want you to grab lines very well. So hover over it and click. No, it still doesn't want me to do it. It's jumping around. There we go. Now it's selected. Now hold down your Command or your Control key and click on Signature. This will allow you to select 2 different items and then go to Shape Format and go along to Align. We'll be using this a lot. Now click on the drop down and we want to align them to the center of each other. So you've selected 2 items and they will align to the center of each other. So select it. So these two are now lined up to each other. Once they are and you don't want to move, go back up to group, click on the drop down and select group. So now this is one element. We'll do the same with date. So click on this box, hold down your Command or Control key and click on date. Go to align, click on the drop down and select align to center, and then go to group and select group. So now these two are lined up. You can space them wherever you want. So I'm just going to space them out about this far apart, and now want to group them together. So select them both, holding down that Command or Control key. First thing we'll do is line them up. We'll just make sure they're lined up. So go back up to align, click on the drop down, and here you can either align them to the top, middle or bottom, doesn't matter. I'll align it to the middle. So once they're perfectly lined up, we can go back up to group and select group. And now these two are one element. And then finally, we can go to align and align to center of the page. Just zoom out, just check you're happy with the spacing. So I'm going to bring this one down a little bit. So using my arrow keys, bring that down a little bit. I'm going to select the line, bring that down, and the name, just bring that down. Okay, so now I'm happy with the spacing between each piece of text. I'm now going to select everything. So sometimes you have to select the lines first. So I'm going to hold down my Command or Control key and I'm going to try and select both the lines. It's really tricky sometimes. There you go, they're both selected. Now you can go ahead and select all the text, which is the easy part. Go to Shape Format, go to Align, click on the drop down. And if you click Align to Center, it will align each of these elements to each other, not the center of the page. It will make sure that all of these little boxes are lined up perfectly. So now you can go ahead and go to Group and select Group. And now this is all one element, which is a bit of a safety feature for me because it means now I can't nudge anything and spoil it. But what we can do is go back up to Align and then Align to Center, and that will align it perfectly to the center of your page. Now what I have slightly forgotten to do is add the text feature or the graphics feature behind this one. So if you need to go back and do something to this one, then all you have to do is select it, go to Group, click on the drop down and select Ungroup. It will ungroup everything. I'm going to select this one here. I'm just going to move it down once with my arrows. Then I'm going to go to Insert, Shapes, click on the drop down, and I'm going to go to this curved edge or rounded edge rectangle. And then I'm just going to click and drag out a rectangle. It's going to be quite narrow. And once it's selected, I'm going to go back up to this fill menu and go to Gradient Fill. I'm going to change the color of my gradients. So I'm going to use these red colors here. For each end, I'm going to use the reds, and the middle one, I'm going to use a lighter red there. Perfect. If I deselect it, you can see we've still got that border line. So make sure you've selected it, go down to the line aspect and go to no line. And I'm going to send it backwards. So make sure it's selected, go to Shape Format, go to Send Backwards, click on the drop down and select Send to Back. Now all I need to do, I'm just going to reduce the size of it. There we go. Deselect it. And then I might move this up just a little bit with my arrows. And also I'm just going to select that background, and I'm also going to reduce the curves of it. So you see this yellowish square here, click on that and pull it. You can see I'm rounding off the corners of that rectangle, and then I'm going to move it down again by using those squares. So again, I'm going to select that graphic and I need to make sure it's centered. So go to Shape Format, Align, Align to Center. So now everything is perfectly lined up. I'm going to put a logo here, go to Insert, Pictures, Picture from File, and then simply go ahead and pick your logo. I'm going to pick this one here, click Insert. Again, once you insert anything in Word, you can't move it, so select it, go to Wrap Text, click on the drop down and select in front of text. Then you can resize it and move it. I'm going to go up to Align, Align to Center, and now I'm going to go ahead and just move these elements here. And this really is a personal choice of exactly how you want them to look on your page. So now, because this is all ungrouped, let's just copy and paste this text box here. The other way you can copy and paste is Command or Control C, deselect it, Command or Control V. We've actually selected the wrong one because that's got a background, so we've got to go back up to shape format, go to shape fill, select no fill, there we go. And in here, we're going to select it all, make sure the cursor's inside, which you can do that by double clicking inside this text box. Command or Control A to select everything. And I'm going to change the font. So let's go to Times New Roman. I'm going to use the increase font size tool here, so I can just increase it until I'm happy. Just keep clicking until it's a size you like. And I'm going to go to the font color here. Click on the drop down, choose a font color of your choice. I'm going to click on the one that's selected. There we go. And what I can do is hold down my Command or Control key and again select the graphic behind. So you've selected both the text and the graphic. Go to picture format, go to align and align to the center. So once you're happy with your certificate, you can go ahead and add some shadows and some other features if you want to. So if I click on this triangle here, I can go across to this effects icon, click on shadows, click on presets and select this shadow here. You can adjust the shadow, the blur, exactly what you want, the transparency, and we can do that for this one as well. So you can save this 3 different ways. Go to File and click Save As, and you can simply save this as a Word document, or if you click on the drop down, you can save it as a PDF. So you can do either of this. Obviously you can select from any of these other options as well, but generally it's a Word document or a PDF. Or if you go to File, you can also save this as a template. What this means is that this will be saved to your software, and you can come in and use this certificate over and over again, and all you need to do is change the name, and then when you save it, Word will ask you to save it as a brand new document, so the original is always kept in your templates. So save as template, make sure it's saved as templates, and make sure the file format is Microsoft Word template, and then simply go ahead and click Save. Once you've done that, you can open, if you open a new document, let's go to the Home tab, go to Templates, go to More Templates, and you can see up here it says Personal. And in that template you can see here is your certificate. Now I know it looks a bit odd here, sometimes Word comes up with some slightly clunky thumbnails, but this is the original document that you've just done. Don't worry about these graphics looking a bit odd. Just click on it and your template will appear. Then when you change the name and you click Save, it will simply ask you to save it as a brand new document. So I hope that's helped you today. If it has, please like and subscribe and have a great day.